Hi gang, I'm Matt.
I'm Justin.
Welcome to Game On, the channel that's dedicated to RPGs, from board games to tabletop and everything in between.
There we go.
I got a question for you, Justin.
Okay, I got an answer.
How much dice is too much dice? Actually, it's not really my question. It's one of the viewers posted that question.
This was a question from kind of spoken to me in a conversation by Miller's Marvelous Miniverse.
Cool. Thank you for that.
And we were talking about game systems, and he's just like, this was a little while ago. He said, do dice just get in the way of the game?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's a clean answer, yes or no, but I think the answer is yes and no, depending.
And my answer to you is yes, there's way too many dice. Dice are tools to help you play the game. They are not collectibles, in my opinion.
I mean, they can be collectibles, but if they're collectibles, like, leave them on the shelf and don't bring them to the game, right? Yeah. But yes. But...
That's a hot take on it, though. A lot of people don't agree with that.
I have way too many dice. I freely admit that I'm a dice collector, and I have several multiples of as many dice as I could ever possibly need. I could feed an entire gaming table's dice needs for any conceivable game and still have not dipped into the second half of my dice collection.
Yeah.
But the question is, more specifically, I guess, when do dice get in the way? How much dice is too much dice? Yeah.
And I guess this is technically for a game. This is more for when we're resolving conflict in the game, as opposed to how much should I have in my sack at home.
you can have a whole room full of dice if you want them, if you like them. But yes, for purposes of utilizing and resolving game mechanics, it seems like there's a point at which it stops being helpful and starts becoming a hindrance.
I think I only have 6 full sets of like D20 multiple dice sets in my bag.
Amateur.
Hey, listen, it's a lot easier to root for and try to find a D4 when there's not 100 D6s in there.
What you do is you subdivide into smaller dice bags within the master dice bag, and then you can...
Speaking of thousands of D6s, Shadowrun.
Okay, no, that's a good point. Dice pools. Dice pool games with absurd numbers of dice in the dice pool.
Yeah.
I think we can agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
That gets in the way. Look, there's something sort of low-level animal midbrain satisfying about having a fistful of dice so large that you almost can't hold them all and letting them fly, right? It's the dice equivalent of 52 card pickup. But you're going to spend the next 5 minutes looking under chairs to find all the dice where they went, or God forbid you don't own enough D6s to cover your dice pool in an absurd dice pool game. And then you have to do like staged re-rolls because you only have half as many dice as you need.
Yeah.
It's just... No, and meanwhile, everybody else at the table is looking at you like, come on, dude.
Sort of on topic, but not completely, is there's a guy at Gamer's Gambit, the game store that we met at. Mm-hmm. He used to have a Warhammer army called Buckets of Nurgles. And basically a whole bunch of little tiny guys that don't cost a whole lot of points. Mm-hmm. And then he would use a pitcher to roll his D6s because that's how much he had to roll. And it was just like, come on. But he did it as a troll because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But what I think that Miller was really trying to get at here is, at what point does thinking about how you're going to roll your dice dictate what you're going to do in the game?
Oh, no, for sure. Like, it can influence how people play their character if they're looking at the sheet going, okay, where do I have the most points? Mm-hmm. Where can I leverage the most mathematical advantage? And then they choose their actions in the game based on statistical permutations of dice rolls.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that. I would rather especially when it comes to like resolution conflict and like initiative combat. Obviously, they're needed, but in situations like social situations, I want you to flip over your character sheet and just role play it. And then if there's something that we need to do, then we'll roll it. I just don't want you to be like, I'm trying to persuade him. What do you mean you're trying to persuade him? What are you saying? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's the one that has the highest number in it.
Yeah, that would be like a football coach going, I'm trying to win the game. Yes, we know that. What's the play? What are we going to do in order to achieve that?
The offense. That's the play you're doing. The offense play.
Yes. You're right. That answer would be offensive. But no, your point is well taken, because dice are there to add an element of randomization and an element of chance into the resolution of actions in the game, right? You don't just want to say it succeeds or it fails. You want there to be an element of chance involved. Yep. And so it's a tool to randomize outcomes to a certain degree, but obviously they're weighted randomization because you have skills and you have the amount of dice and you have modifiers and all the different ways that you can sort of bias a truly random roll.
Yeah.
So that's what it's there for. It's just a mathematical tool. But if it becomes a means or an end unto itself rather than the means to an end, which is resolving the scene in the game, then it absolutely becomes an impediment. It's a speed bump. I'm not a big fan of superfluous rolls. I'm not a big fan of repetitious rolls. This is one that gets on my nerves, and I am guilty of it too. Like in the Twilight 2000 game that we just played a few weeks ago, right?
Which we will do a review on at some point.
Yes, and hopefully we will do a continuation of the story after I've gotten under the hood, and I've already started doing this, wrenching on the thing a little bit to make it flow smoother, because I was not happy with how that game went, having run it. One of the things that I was unhappy about is there are too few skills in that game relative to the number of actions that you can take. Yeah. So, like, a variety of actions are governed by the same skill roll, so you end up making the same skill roll over and over and over again and calling for that same skill roll. And it got to the point where I was just like, man, I'm making them do, and I don't even remember what it was. It was some sort of perception-based roll, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, for the 18th time, I need you to roll me this. And it was boring, and it was repetitive, and it was intrusive, and it just needed to go away, or it needed to be subdivided and diversified so that people were rolling for different things.
Yep.
So that there was a little bit more personalization and variety to it. So I didn't care for that. Another personal peeve of mine is needless dice shapes. I know this goes back to the early days of D&D and the whole idea of, hey, we've got this set of dice, let's come up with a convoluted rules justification for using every shape of die we have.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. It's beyond unnecessary. It slows things down. You can cover all the needed odds, levels, and permutations that would ever come up in a game with at most 3 different dice. A D6, a D10, D20 will cover everything you need. If you need to get down to a D4, you do, D6 cut in half, or, say divided by 2, or if you need a D8, it's, a D10 minus 2. Now look, that will bias the statistical variation by +1 or +2 through the middle, depending on whether you're rolling 2 dice or rolling 1 die and subtracting, or rolling 1 die and dividing. But the differences between those statistical permutations are so minor as to be almost inconsequential. The crescendo of drama that comes from, okay, it's now or never, I gotta make this roll. There's it's sort of like the high that people get from gambling.
Yeah.
But instead of money being on the line, there's the fate of the game on
Exactly.
the line. So I think there's something to that, and I don't want to lose it.
No, I wouldn't either.
But I don't want to have a significant portion of the game be a bunch of other players sitting around a table looking at you count dice. And that's a problem. Anyway, give us your comments.
My opinion is a fact. It's 2023.
It's on social media. It's got to be true. Yeah, no, guys, give us your comments, give us your feedback, give us your thoughts about how important dice are and when they're important and all that. And
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
the thumbs up. We appreciate the thumbs up.
My name is Justin.
I'm Matt.
So let's grab a character sheet, maybe some dice.
Yes, a couple of dice. Enough dice.
Enough dice. And game on.
Game on, guys. Thanks.